All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my playthrough of Angels with Scaly Wings. Now, there's a sentence I never thought I'd say. So yeah, this this game is actually really good, and you definitely should check it out. And I definitely want to get back into it and see what the hell happens with this storyline and see where it goes. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So you're probably not going to believe this, but um, and got the notification on my phone, not on my phone, but on my computer. I'm guessing you meant to say. What's going on, Dark? So you're not going to believe this, but when I ended the stream last time with this game, I'm so used to games auto-saving that I exited out of the game thinking that it auto-saved. So when I got back into the game, after I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute. I never saw a saving indicator. I'm like, please tell me the game saved. So when I got back into the game, guess what? The game pulled an April Fool's prank on me because I had to start the game all over. Yep. So here's the deal. I went through because I had the recording of all my dialogue choices, all the actions I took during the game. So I went through the whole game again and got back to the point where I was at when I ended the stream. So that's why the date is different than when I streamed it, because I had to spend like 3 hours going through everything all over again. If you don't believe me with that, if you go into the stats, you'll see it says I played the game for 7 hours, 29 minutes, when I only streamed the game for 4 hours. But yeah, that really sucked. I'm so used to games just auto-saving, I didn't think anything of it. And I just assumed that, like, oh, it's just going to auto-save and I'm going to be right back where I was. But yeah, no, it didn't happen, so really sucked. But we're back, and I'm certain that I went through everything the same exact way as I did in the playthrough. I did all the exact same actions, all the same dialogue choices with everybody, so we should result in the exact same outcome as what I did in the stream. What's going on, Level 1 Online? Chilling, gonna relax and check out the stream. Good stuff, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, this game is actually really good. It's weird. Like, it's really weird, but, like, once you get into it, you're like, it's like a really good book. You know, it's just really good. So, carrying on from where we left off last time. I woke with my eyes fixed on the ceiling wallpaper. A sense of dread lingered from a nightmare I no longer remembered. How many more times would I see this apartment before I returned to my own world, or before something happened to me? I got ready for the day and tried to shake off those thoughts. Hey, Prince! And right on the minute, you show up at this time every day, like clockwork. Clocks are reliable, and reliable is good in this line of work. I think you can guess why I'm here. Is it Raza again? What happened this time? The chief will explain everything once we get there. Let's not keep him waiting, shall we? I hope you like my voice acting for this level 1. I play a different voice for every character. And for Sebastian, I play basically like the Canadian South Park characters. That's pretty much the voice that I do for Sebastian in this. We arrived at a place that would look like an ordinary house, but it had not been for its extraordinary size. It reminded me more of a hostel than a family home. Chief! There you are. Wait, weren't you supposed to be with Emra? Luckily, she doesn't work every day of the week. I see. Anyway, we're nearly done here, so I'll keep it short. Raza broke into the hatchery. There is another murder victim, an employee of the hatchery who was on night duty. Her body was found quite away from here. There's evidence of a struggle, but she covered a lot of distance before it was ultimately over. Loud bangs were heard from the area her body was found. and she has numerous wounds consistent with both the wounds of the previous victims and that other weapon he has. By this point, news of another corpse didn't have the same impact anymore. She was just another one of Raz's faceless victims. A hatchery? Is that what this building is? Well, not only. It's a Consul-owned building. And they like keeping everything related to their sector under the same roof. So, besides the hatchery, there's also an orphanage and a family clinic inside. There are also offices related to the administration of those services. That reminds me of the production facility. It should. They have a similar management structure. Can we get back to the case? Sorry for the interruption, Chafe. Wait a minute. If an orphanage is in there too, there are no other casualties, but Raza got something else when he broke in. A generator, as well as a few eggs. Luckily, the power was restored before anything happened to all the other eggs left inside, but needless to say, parents of the stolen eggs are not going to be happy. Why would he steal eggs in the first place? Maybe you can tell us. That's why you're here, after all. I don't know. I have no idea why he would even do with them. Maybe he wants to use them as a bargaining chip. After all, he still has to make his escape, and the portal is still broken. You think he wants to exchange them for safe passage through the portal? Maybe. It's still broken, though, so I'm not sure if that would be much help. Maybe he has the part needed to repair it, and now has everything he needs to escape. He could trade the eggs for safe passage, fix the portal, and leave. That's not the only possibility. He may not be the one who broke the portal. Maybe he thinks you've intentionally sabotaged it so he can't leave, and he feels he needs the eggs as bargaining chips to get you to repair it. If he just wanted to leave, I feel like he could have done that already. Doesn't even matter who sabotaged the portal. We only know that Raza's actions are becoming more and more desperate. He kidnapped defenseless eggs and even used the human weapon. Something's clearly going on with him. Maybe it means that he'll slip up soon. Who knows, maybe he already has. In any case, we're done here. Let's head back to the department and decide what to do next. Hopefully, some of the test results will tell us something. After a brief walk, we were in Bryce's office again. Initial test results had already come in, but didn't reveal any insightful or new information. So, what do we do now? Go over the timeline again? Not yet. There are a few things I'd like to take care of first. What do you have in mind? Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Come in. Maverick, what are you doing here? Chief, can I talk to you alone? We're quite busy here, Maverick. What is this about? Raza. Well, you're looking at the Raza task force, so if you have anything to say, you can say it in front of all of us. I see. I think I know where Raza is. You know where Raza is at this very moment? I have good reason to believe that I have located his hideout. He could still be there, or he might have already moved on. Damn, Maverick, tell me everything. I've been tracking him for a while now. When he was at the portal a few days ago, I nearly got him and managed to follow him for a while before I lost him. Based on that, where he's been and where his victims have been found, I could triangulate his whereabouts. He has to live somewhere, right? He needs a base to hide the generators and everything he has stolen. Bryce cleared the clutter on a table and smoothed out a map of the town on its surface. It already had a few locations related to the case marked on it. Show it to me. Prior victims were found here and here. Today's was here. She was following him, likely because she wanted to save the eggs he stole. This is the path he took from the portal when I followed him a few days ago. So, we have established this as his area of operation. Extrapolate it, and we can narrow it down to this. Now, where could he be hiding in this area? He's certainly not within the village borders, so unless he's decided to live in the wilderness or in a hole in the ground, the only option is here. The abandoned farm. When did you figure all this out? Just a few minutes ago. When I did, I immediately came here. Damn it, Maverick. This might be it. Should we send an observation team? As if we had one to spare. Heck, we're going there right now. What about you, Maverick? I'm still on sick leave, remember? Besides, if I saw Raza right now, I'd probably do something I shouldn't. How about you, Prince? Isn't this gonna be dangerous? Raza probably won't harm you, as you are the only one he could possibly consider an ally. Good point. If anything, with you there, we might be able to convince him to give up. Or we could act like we intend to trade you for the eggs if he tries to use them as a bargaining chip. You're not really gonna use me as ransom, right? We'll see about that. I suppose if it's necessary, I'll have to play along. I've got your back. If there's one thing we could do to make this whole situation even worse, it would be messing up with you. We have the element of surprise. If we walk into his base right now, but we risk Raza lashing out with his weapon. If we want to resolve this peacefully, observation is probably the way to go. I guess we won't need Prince there for that, though. True enough. Alright, Prince, you stay here and wait for further instructions. We may need you at a moment's notice. Don't do anything without us telling you to. Understand? Okay. Alright then, let's go, Sebastian. After you, Chief. And Maverick, good job. Thanks, Chief. Shortly after they vanished, Maverick also turned to leave. Then I had to wait. Bryce and Sebastian were observing the farm now, and if anything new happened, I'd be the first to know. I spent some time looking around Bryce's office, studying all the material he had gathered about the case, though there wasn't any information that I didn't already know. After a few hours, a telephone in his office rang, and not sure whether the call was intended for me or Bryce, I picked up. Prince? Yes? I think you need to come here. I'll give you the directions. No problem. There you are. So what happened? A whole lot of nothing. There was no movement to or from the building in the time we've been watching. He usually operates during the night, so maybe he's just asleep? In that case, it would be best for us to go in before he has a chance to make his escape. Or maybe he's not even there anymore. He could have seen us and slipped away unnoticed, with plenty of time to destroy the evidence while we've been waiting here. You're right. Either he's still inside or he's already gone and not coming back. Let's go in. What should I do? You're coming with me. Sebastian, you walk around and watch the back of the building, just in case he tries to escape. I'm on it, Chief. I go in and you stay here, alright? What am I even here for then? You're our insurance. If Raza tries to flee and sees you, it might throw him off. You might be able to stop him. Or if we get into a standoff, I can tell him you're here as well. I just don't want you to come inside when it could become dangerous. I don't really want to let him go in alone, though. Let me go in first. Why? Maybe I can talk to him and we can figure things out. I don't think he wants to kill me, so even if it doesn't work out, Sebastian and you will still be nearby to catch him. I'll be right behind you then, but do be careful. We slowly made our way to the front door. I took a deep breath and tried to prepare myself for the possibility of facing Raza. The tense scenarios and things I could say to him rushed through my head as I pressed down on the door handle. The door inched open with a creak, but I noticed a slight resistance and a strange sound that suddenly made me hesitate. When I looked down to the source of the noise, I saw a taut wire through the gap in the door, hovering over the floor of the entryway. Ah, it's a booby trap then. Oh shit. That was a pretty close call, you know? Too bad Raza wasn't here after all. Maybe he ran when he saw us approach. Strange for him to leave everything behind, though. Everything he's stolen, all the generators are still here. Do you think the trap was for us in particular? Probably not. It was likely more of a general safety precaution. If he had any time to prepare for this, he would have taken the stuff with him. True enough. I had no idea you could make a bomb out of a generator. Then you just haven't been with us long enough. If you know how, it's not even that complicated. And Raza somehow figured it out? Apparently so. Does he have any skills pertaining to engineering or electricity? Well, he's worked on cars before and fixes a lot of things back home. I guess that would qualify. He also could have done his own research. Either way, this makes him even more dangerous. At least we now have a whole building's worth of clues. Prince, can you get to your apartment from here? We'll be busy with this scene for a while. No problem. I'll leave you to your work then. Good job, Prince. Thanks. I'm surprised you called me back so quickly. How's the investigation going? Oh, the investigation is going swimmingly. But as you can expect, we need all the help we can get. As usual. With how this case has been going, we've realized we must employ external help. Oh? Yeah, we've requested assistance from one of the cities. We hope they'll send some good investigators our way soon. I see. We were so close today. We could have been in there, you know? Maybe we just came a few minutes too late. And if he knows how to make bombs from generators, who's to say he won't start using them elsewhere? At least he doesn't have any right now, does he? You said all the generators that were stolen are now accounted for. True. Still, this whole case is going to be too much for a small town police department. I hope you get all the help you'll need. Me too. But right now, you can help us again. Well, what do you have for me? When we searched the building, we found more than the things Raza stole. We also found this bloody bandage. You think that's his? That's what we need to find out. But given all that we know, it probably is. So he's wounded. We know he was injured during the fight with his first victim, but whether this is from the same wound or something else, I'm not sure. In any case, you could bring it into the lab for us to find out more. Sure. Next, we have a witness who reported hearing loud bangs during the night. We'd like to send someone to make a follow-up visit. You'll need to confirm the witness statement, then see if he has anything new to share. Also, now that we have reclaimed your PDAs, we're going to send one to the archives for analysis. Since they have experience with human artifacts, they're better suited to do it than any of our departments. No problem. And lastly, we have the eggs. It's a relief that we found them unharmed in the building. They're safe and ready to be sent back to the hatchery. Shouldn't we take care of those first? It's not as urgent as you might think. Our eggs are pretty resilient. Being in the care of the hatchery is more an insurance than a requirement. Some people chose to keep them in their own home until they hatch, rather than having the hatchery take care of it. The hatchery has been notified, but they won't be able to send someone for a few hours. I've heard that they're really understaffed. If you bring the eggs and the paperwork to them, you'd speed up the process, but it's not an urgent matter. I see. In any case, I'll just leave everything here until I get to it, so feel free to do these tasks as you wish. I know it's laughable that we don't even have a free hand for simple errands. Don't worry about it. By the way, are you planning to attend the summer festival? Should I? It's hard to think about something fun when I'm wrapped up in this investigation. For sure. It's important to take a short rest so you don't lose your head. There's so much to see at the festival, particularly the big fireworks. Dragons enjoy fireworks too? I would think something like that would feel so commonplace, since many of you breathe fire. It's not quite the same. We still appreciate the wonder of colorful bursts in the sky. On the last day, there's always a big fireworks show. Everyone usually attends it. Everyone? Yes, it has a great tradition behind it. What peeves me most is that I'll be on guard duty when it happens this year, so I probably won't be able to see a thing. I'll be sure not to miss it then. Anyways, I should go back to the investigation now. I'll leave the stuff for you here, and I'll take care of the rest once I get back, alright? Sure thing. Good luck, Prince. You too. Okay, so we can take the bandage to the facility, visit the witness, take the PDA to the library, take the eggs to the hatchery. Let's take care of the eggs first. I was on my way to the hatchery when I heard a voice call out to me. Hello there! I turned around to see an unfamiliar face before me. Hey, I'm Kevin. Prince, nice to meet you. Could I perhaps interest you in our Midwest institution? Is this some kind of religious thing? Not at all, it's a college. Sorry, but I already got my degrees. Yeah, I know, it was just a joke. Oh, so me going to college is a joke now. I'm not good enough, is that it? Not at all. Even if you wanted to study there, I don't think you'll be with us long enough to make use of it. I think that came out wrong. You're lucky I won't take this the wrong way. Phew. So, you're a recruiter for this college? No, this is just my summer job. Once the semester starts up again, I'll actually be attending to get my degree in psychology. College, wonderful times. Is that sarcasm? Maybe. I didn't even know you had colleagues here, though. Or colleges here, though. Well, you do now. Why do you even approach me if you know I'm not going to go to college here? Don't tell me it's just because I'm human. I was actually trying to talk to that old lady who walked by, but once you turned around, there was no going back. Oh, well, thanks for not making things awkward. Hey, I treat everyone nicely until I have reason not to. That's good customer service. Sure, but it's not just for the job, you know? That's just me. Alright, well, let's invite him then. Why don't you come over to my place later? I'd love to hear more about what college is all about in this world. Then you found the right person for the job. I can't promise anything right now, but maybe I'll see you another time. For sure. I also have to finish this up here, but after that I'm free. Alright, I'll let you know. I'm here all day today and tomorrow, so it shouldn't be hard to find me. Great, I have to get going now, but I'll be sure to let you know if anything's up. Sure, see ya. Here we are again. Hey Prince, what are you doing here? Oh, I just came by to drop these off. Drop what off? The stolen eggs. I figured the hatchery would want them back. Oh, I was actually going to get those from the police department later. I'm so glad that they got back safely. Emily, stop chewing my leg. It tasty. Oh well. Anyway, I was about to go inside, so I'll take those off your hands. Thanks for bringing them here. No problem. You return the eggs to the hatchery. Nice. Alright. Return the eggs to the hatchery. It's worth an achievement. Okay. So we can take the bandage to the facility, visit the witness, take the PDA to the library, or we can go back to the apartment now. Let's visit the witness now. See what kind of statement they have to say. Can I help you? You must be Absum, is that right? Sure. I'm working with the police and hoped you could answer a few questions. Because I responded to your call for witnesses about last night, right? Yes. Alright, what do you want to know? Can you tell me what happened? Sure, I was running an experiment in my home laboratory and waiting for it to finish. Around 2 a.m., I suddenly hear a few bangs outside. They reminded me of small explosions. It sounded like they were coming from just around the corner. I see. Did nothing about this seem unusual to you? Not really. I know I've caused a few similar disturbances with my experiments before. If someone else decided to take up home experimentation, they certainly have my approval. Besides, I wasn't in any position to abandon the experiment that was running at the time, or else it could have had a similar outcome. Thank you. I think that will be all. No problem. Well, that was really quick. Thanks for all your help. I'll take care of the... Oh, that's him still talking. I'll take care of the remaining tasks, so you can take the rest of the day off. I'm sure you have things to do other than help in the police department. It's no problem, really. My trip to your world wasn't supposed to be a vacation. Alright then, I'll see you next time. See ya. Level 1, if you're still here, did you watch part 1 of this stream? Of this playthrough? After this fateful day, I was glad to finally have some sort of respite. I wandered into the kitchen as I considered tonight's dinner. Should I cook something or order out? When I returned to the living room, I suddenly found my strength leaving me and collapsed to the floor. Skipped around. You should listen to the voice acting I did for the ice cream vendor around the 3.5 hour mark. I listened back to the stream, and man, it was really good. The next thing I saw was a blurry stone ceiling. Somebody must have dragged me here. What the hell? As my eyesight slowly returned, I managed to sit up. I was in a cave, and before me stood a familiar, mysterious face. I apologize for the violence, but I can assure you it was the easiest way. Where am I? Is this your hideout? Just a temporary accommodation so we can be undisturbed for this meeting. Someone else used to live here until recently. Do you know who I am? Well, you're not Raza. Good. What did it take for you to figure that out? Since you're not whispering anymore, I can hear it clearly in your voice. I had a feeling that you couldn't be him since the first time we met, though. Which first time are you talking about? The generator in the cellar, when you pushed me. I see. You can call me the Administrator. No other humans are supposed to be here, though. I assume that's why you're wearing the mask. You don't want to be recognized. That is correct. Whoever you are, you also saved my life. On more than one occasion. Your presence here doesn't make any sense. You couldn't have come through the portal. The dragons would have noticed. This is where you are wrong. My arrival through the portal is what led the dragons to discover it in the first place. What does someone say in the chat here? Yeah, who knew you had a talent for narration? The mic quality is good as well. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that's what I aim to do, man. I aim to make for an entertaining stream, you know? Is that so? When I crawled out from the hole in the earth that hid the portal, there were no guards to discover me. My appearance exposed the portal, but the dragons didn't know it was there yet. So you arrived even before Raza? That makes you the actual first human to come to this world. That is more true than you might think. Just who are you, then? I may have arrived through the portal like you, but my story is very different. Before the fall of humanity, I was an engineer. I was part of a team that was formed to create bioweapons. Our task was to create these bioweapons in a country where their development hadn't yet been regulated or outlawed. These weapons were planned to be a low-cost alternative for poor countries to wage war, so they would no longer have to rely on expensive drones and machines for warfare. I was to set up the lab where our bioweapon development would take place. It was a clandestine operation set to be in the middle of the wilderness. The laboratory was an independent research and living unit and provided everything we needed without having to rely on external resources or even an existing power grid. Everything was to be teleported right in the middle of nowhere, with no traces or paper trail to follow, so international communities and law enforcement would have no idea of our operations. Our only connection to the outside world after setup would have been a two-way portal to our headquarters, who would provide everything we needed. While we already could teleport individual people, teleporting a whole building was another matter entirely. Our solution was matter compression technology, incredibly expensive, but operating in the gray market was also very lucrative. The technology behind it was much more complicated than even teleportation, despite being based on it. While teleportation works by utilizing black holes with a beginning and an end, compression technology relies on a loop, keeping matter in a sort of limbo state until the loop is broken. Working with black holes was very complicated to begin with, but this shape required much more finesse, and thus was much more expensive. I was to be set alone, to set up the lab and the portal so the rest of the team could arrive safely. In case you didn't know, it is possible to use a portal to send someone to a previously defined endpoint. Therefore, it is not required to have a portal at the destination to be sent there, but as you can imagine, this is also very dangerous. A single variable off by a fraction could mean the difference between landing safely at your destination and smothering in space. Of course, my employer did not want anything like that to happen, not necessarily for my own sake, but because of all the unfamiliarity, expensive equipment I had with me. Regardless, something went wrong anyway. Despite all the checks and safeguards, they could only minimize the risk so much. Even if the risk is a fraction of a fraction, sometimes you are just that unlucky. And sometimes it turns out that your bad luck is a blessing in disguise. I arrived safely somewhere in the jungles of Earth, yet it was not the destination that had been planned. I knew something was off, but nevertheless, I set to work immediately. At the very least, I could prepare the building, I would have shelter, and then I could begin preparations for our project. Getting the portal into working order would take more time, as it was a complicated process that could take several weeks. If things had gone wrong as I suspected, I would at least be able to establish contact with headquarters after the portal had been set up, and I would be able to return. While teleporting the lab to the wrong location was certainly a costly mistake, I was still lucky to have my life. Before long, I discovered the truth about the place I had arrived. While I was still on Earth, it was not the Earth I knew. It was the Earth of 65 million years ago. We knew that by utilizing black holes for teleportation, time travel was a theoretical possibility. It was something even my company didn't dare to attempt though, as teleportation in and of itself was still a very new technology. Yet here I was, 65 million years in the past, with a research station all to myself. The company would revel in the opportunity to study and profit from all the different life forms I could see, if only they knew about them. I spent the few weeks setting up the portal as planned, yet when I tried to re-establish contact with my employer, I was met with silence. Despite the time discrepancy, the portal should have been able to find my companies in the present. For a black hole, sending something through time is no different than sending something through space. However, when we built the portals, we gave them a specialized configuration. It was only possible to travel through space by aligning them across the time axis. That meant that I, in the past, would still be able to search for portals in the present to connect with. My counterparts in the present, though, would not be able to find me in the past even if they tried. But I couldn't find them, not a single one. Even after checking the portal for its function, I determined that, for all intents and purposes, the portal from the company should have been there to connect with. It was then that I had a terrible realization. The portals in the present didn't exist anymore, or were no longer operational. Maybe the blunder of teleporting the lab caused them to reconsider the risk of using this technology. After all, it was already controversial and had been outlawed in several countries. I wouldn't have been surprised if they decided to cut their losses, but it was highly unlikely that they would have immediately shut down every single portal and left me stranded without notice. Portal technology was still being relied on in several places in the present. In my mind, only one possibility remained. Super weapons. Various nations have been using them as bargaining chips for some time. I didn't think the threats had become that serious, but one of them must have launched their weapon and destroyed the majority of Earth. It could have been the result of a malfunction, or perhaps the political situation had escalated. Either way, it was not possible for me to establish any means of communication to find out what had really happened. I could have sent myself back into the present with the right coordinates, but this was a risky endeavor, and I also had to ask myself if it was a present I wanted to return to. I was sure that if anything was even left of our world, the aftermath or a possible retaliatory strike would take care of the rest. In the end, I had to realize that whichever present did exist was likely not one that was worth returning to. It made my decision all the easier. Instead of returning to a destroyed civilization, I saw an opportunity. Rather than creating bioweapons, I could use the lab to create a new civilization, shaped by my own ideals. I had all the necessary data, and the most modern methods and machines at my fingertips. Besides, most of the processes has already been automated. In the end, I still used the lab for what it had been created for, fusing human and animal DNA to create beings that were mostly animal, but possessed a greater intelligence that allowed them to learn whatever we wanted to. As I didn't have any animal samples sent with me when I initially arrived, I collected them from the sources available to me. Automated processes mixed the DNA further across the samples. New abilities were added like enhanced armor, flight, and spit weapons to make the new creatures more effective in combat. The result was a number of different species, each tailored and optimized to fill a specific role in a war situation. Hormones allowed me to speed up their growth, and with the lab's learning program, they could be educated in whatever manner I saw fit. My first concern was self-efficiency. They needed the kind of knowledge that would enable them to come together as their own independent society. Luckily, the AI that automated all the processes in the lab was more than helpful. I unleashed the first generation of my creation, and as their leader, founded our first village. I thought we could really pull it off, and once I saw that they could survive without my guidance, and also govern themselves, I knew my plan was a success. When I realized that this new society would eventually be destroyed, I told myself that I would do anything I could to save it. Destroyed? What are you talking about? Haven't you realized where we are? The Chekhlub asteroid is headed for us. With a diameter of over 10 kilometers, its impact will create humongous clouds of dust, throwing Earth into a literal dark age. They will block out the sunlight for over a year, killing off many species of plants that rely on photosynthesis to survive. As a result, animals that eat those plants will also vanish, as will those who sought substance from those herbivores. All in all, 75% of all species will vanish, and in terrestrial ecosystems, all animals heavier than a single kilogram will die. That would be 2.2 pounds, in case you didn't know. It will be the end of everyone who lives here, every single dragon you have seen, unless we do something. We? What am I supposed to do? Do you not wish to save them? I came here to help humanity. Now you tell me that this society, this whole world, is also on the brink of extinction? That is the truth. What kind of difference could a single person like me even make to save it? Right now, it's also a single person that presents its greatest threat. Raza, how? In order to stop the comet, we will need as much power as possible. We reclaimed all the generators he stole. Besides, how could a few of them be enough to make a difference for something like this? Don't forget that Raza is still out there, looking for more. The truth is, I don't know if all the generators would ever be enough. We only require enough power to divert the comet's path during a crucial moment. But even if this plan is possible, we will need every single generator we can get. So my goal hasn't changed, I just need to find Raza. Yes, but you'll need my help, and maybe the help of others. You know that Raza is dangerous, and with his gun, he has a clear advantage. Don't think that he wouldn't hesitate to kill you if you were in his way. Then what shall we do? Do you know where he is? No, but I think you'll find him soon, and you can count on my support when that happens. I see. There is one thing that still doesn't make sense to me, though. The dragons have myths about you, but they don't know or remember you. They haven't seen any humans for who knows how long. How much time could have passed since you created them, and now? How many generations could it take to forget? Why isn't there proof of your existence? I don't know exactly how long it's been myself. When I realized what time period I was in, and that my creation was about to be wiped out in the future, I wanted to go to that future and see what they had become. I disabled the portal's time access safeguards, and thus enabled it to connect with others in different times. This also included that very same portal in the future, with the generator of our lab being able to supply the portal with power for an indefinite amount of time. I was able to travel to any point in the future I wanted to. The entry and end point of the black hole would be the same place in the same portal, with the way traveled being just along the time axis. Since I could now search for connection points in any time period, I could look for my own portal in the future and pinpoint the moment its signal stopped. The comet. Exactly. I found that specific point in time and traveled to a future that was as close to that event as I could safely manage. After I arrived here, My escape from the portal's hiding place led to its discovery by the dragons. It and the laboratory were unearthed. I still don't understand how our portal found yours or why we ended up arriving at this particular time period. The portal you found was no doubt one of my company's. They must have been connected before, so the corresponding data for their connection already existed when you found it. I'm not sure if that could bypass the anti-time travel safeguards, though. Was it completely operational when you found it? No, it took a little bit of tinkering. Probably jumping the hardware safeguards in the process. Now, consider that connected portals travel along the time axis together. The data for their beginning and endpoints were adjusted automatically. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to transport anything from one place in the world to another without also sending it through time. Since these two portals must have been connected at some point, the corresponding data for the connection between those two portals already existed. When using the same connection without changing any of the data, that would mean that despite the time discrepancy between those two portals, time still progressed linearly for them. I'm not sure I understand. Let me try to rephrase that. The portal you found and my own share a connection. However, while the connection is locked to a certain place, which is wherever the portal is at that very moment, it is not connected to a specific point in time. For us and the physical machines that are the portals, time passes linearly and we can't do anything about that. However, for the black holes, this isn't the case. Just as their entry and endpoints can be in different places, they can also be in different times. In order to not send something through time when we just want to transport something from one portal to another, the portals are anchored together in such a way that the time data is automatically synchronized. Essentially, this means that ever since you arrived in this world, the same amount of time that has passed for you has also passed in the place where you came from. I see, so despite being in different time periods, time still passes linearly on both sides of the portals. Otherwise, it would not have been possible for you to send messages back and forth to each other. If they were not synchronized, the portals on both sides would stay connected not only to a single point in space, but also to a single point in time, thus making proper two-way communication impossible. However, this is only possible through the connection that has already been forged. If we wanted to, we could also use our portal to send you back to your own time period, but to a moment before Raza even arrived here. But that would mean there would be two of me, right? Wouldn't that cause a time paradox? I can only tell you that it would work. No one has studied time travel before though, so if there was any consequences, then I am not sure of them. Most likely, an entirely new timeline would be created. There would be a timeline without a prince altogether, and in the new one, there would be two of you. This is becoming way too complicated. I apologize. To come back to your original question, I am not sure how much time passed between the time I left my newborn society and now. Since the portal was not designed for time travel, I have no way of knowing how the variables translated to our perception of time. It could have been thousands or even millions of years. How could the portal or even its power source still be operational after all this time? The portal receives its powers from the generator in the lab. These units were fitted with the absolute best technology we had to offer. It was designed to provide substantial power completely independent from any already existing network of power lines. It gains energy from many sources: sun rays, Earth's heat, and movement, just to name a few. Keep in mind, it had to power a whole laboratory and research station, while also providing the energy required for all of its inhabitants and the associated energy expenditures. Taking its power from Earth itself, a generator like this could continue providing power to the lab indefinitely. Speaking of which, why haven't I seen a single dinosaur since I arrived? It seems that the Dragon Society expanded over the whole continent. Many still hunt on their own for substance. And as such, the original species they were based on have mostly vanished, as in direct competition, ours proved to be far superior. Also, they have already taken measures against having big predators roam their cities and villages. Yet, while the dragon population has increased tremendously, I have found that by and large, their society as a whole has not changed much. Is that why everything here looks like it was made for humans? I suppose so. The learning program I initially used gave them knowledge about things and how to create them, yet of course those were only human inventions and designs. Did they never once stop to think that they should adjust how certain things look? A lot of the furniture and objects I've seen look very impractical for a dragon. I was surprised at that too, but I have an explanation for this phenomenon. Don't forget that their gnome was designed by an AI programmed to make them into effective bioweapons. The idea was to have them indoctrinated at a young age. After reaching adolescence, their learning capacity would be greatly diminished. This resulted in subjects that would stay loyal and be unlikely to change their desired behaviors. Instincts also play a role. I imagine that they are very much at odds with their learned behavior. Instincts in animals never change, and instinctual behaviors will always be there. If a given trait has been programmed into their gnome as an instinct, it is not very likely to change, even though numerous generations. We can see the result of this here. While I initially made them learn a certain set of values and knowledge, I have found that the expression of those ideas has hardly changed. And after I was gone, each new generation learned from its elders, and much of the initial knowledge and information has retained through all this time. Their gnome as a whole did change, however, which was unavoidable over time. If they had been used as bioweapons as intended, they would have been nothing more than an army of identical clones. While I can see subtle changes in behaviors as a result, some traits are still very much present in them. They are content with what they have and don't strive for more. They don't innovate or change, so technological breakthroughs or new inventions are a rarity. It's quite the opposite, really. They very much value tradition and their ways, which have not changed much in all these years. I see. How much time do we have left to stop the comet? In a few weeks, the comet will pass the moon, and its gravity field will point the comet's trajectory towards Earth. This is when we will need to be ready. If we strike then, we only need to minimally affect its path in order for the comet to pass Earth safely. It won't be enough time for the inhabitants of this world to prepare if Raza steals our greatest assets. So it's all about Raza and the generators, isn't it? Indeed. By the way, I fixed the portal in case we need to use it. Did you break it to prevent me from being sent away? No, that wasn't me. Raza better not use it to escape. Trust me, the portal is our greatest asset. I have programmed it with emergency coordinates. If you should find yourself in a hopeless situation and feel there is no other way out, go to the portal. I have made sure only you will be able to use them. I'll keep that in mind. So, what's your plan? What do we do now? I will resume my work, and you will continue yours. Find Raza. The administrator turned to leave. Wait, what's with all the secrecy? Why are you still wearing that mask? Why don't we pull our resources together and you show me your hideout? Don't you think it would be better if you were completely frank with me? No, not now. A second later, the figure had already vanished into the darkness outside. When I followed, I realized that I wasn't sure how to get back to my apartment. Surrounded by trees and the blanket of night, it was hard to make out where I stood. After wandering through the underbrush, I realized that the lights on the horizon had to be coming from the village and made my way back. I returned to my apartment without much trouble. When I looked at the clock, I was surprised to see how much time had passed. Not having anything left to do for the day, I soon fell into a deep slumber. Seems there's nothing for me to do this morning. I guess they don't need me at the police department. Not that I mind. So now we can meet with one of the other characters here. We still have not met with Remy. That's one of the characters we haven't really met with yet. We don't really know anything about him. So I want to meet up with him. He told me to meet him in the lobby, but nobody's here. Maybe I should look for him. He can't be too far after all. It was quite a spacious building, lined with many bookcases on multiple floors. From the looks of it, it seemed to be as much of an archive as it was a library. with immaculate order premeditating the chamber. It was the kind of place I could see myself getting lost in for an afternoon or two, thumbing through all the interesting books it could offer me. I was looking around in wonder when suddenly a voice penetrated the silence. Remy! Couldn't see who the voice belonged to, but it came from the more private area in the back. It was followed by footsteps that approached it. Oh, you're still here? Of course I am still here. I have business to attend to. Certainly. I just assumed you'd be done by now, Emra. Guess your assumption was wrong then. Be a good boy and bring me some coffee, will you? Of course, Emra. I heard more movement, though I still could not see either of the two who spoke behind all the bookcases. I assumed the area was off limits to a visitor like myself and decided to wait. Here you go. Now, let me read in peace, you silly boy. Of course. I heard him walk towards my direction until he emerged from behind a bookcase and spotted me. Oh, hello, Prince. I didn't expect you so soon. Not like I had anything better to do. Better be safe than sorry. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have come at all. We're gonna say... Not like I had anything better to do. Well, I'm glad to see you again, at any rate. Was that Emra? Yes. Oh. So, this is where you work, huh? Most of the time, yes. That makes you a librarian, I suppose. There's a little more to it. I'm just in charge of the books. I'm a scholar and study them too. For example, if the council requests knowledge on certain topics like facts, statistics, or other information of interest, it is part of my job to research it and present it to them in an appropriate manner. So basically, you're an expert on everything. That sounds like the kind of thing I'd like to do, or just thinking about doing that kind of work day after day gives me a headache. That kind of sounds like a lot to deal with. I'm going to say just thinking about doing that kind of work day after day gives me a headache. I suppose it's a good thing that I am the one who works here and not you. Anyways, was there a particular reason why you wanted to meet me? You're just too damn cute, that's why. I was interested in what you said the other day. You have myths about humans, or I was bored coming here seemed to be the most interesting option. Honestly, yeah. What's with these myths about humans? I was interested in that. Oh, right. I still have work to do, but I could show you something afterwards. Either way, now that you're here, you could help me with something. I've got some books that need to be sorted over there. Sure, not like I have anything better to do. I respectfully decline your request for help, or alright, how do I fit them in alphabetically? How about sure, not like I have anything better to do. Basically, these 8 books you see over there were all part of a section that was moved, so they have to be sorted into their new area. The problem is their labels are so old that they've started to fade away, which makes sorting them a little harder. They will get new labels soon, but until then, we'll just have to make do with what we have here. All of them are by a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. A writer on the subject of history, and a very prolific one, I might add. You will find the shelf they belong to over there. Now it is just a matter of placing them in the right order, from oldest to newest. I have written down everything still legible from the old labels here. For someone like you, putting them in order shouldn't be a problem. In any case, I'll be working on something else in the meantime, so let me know once you're done. Hints. Third War is directly preceded by the Spark. First War is directly preceded by the Inception. The Invention is not the 3rd, 7th, or last book. The Second War is the 4th book. There's only one book before the First War. The Enlightenment comes at some point after the Third War. What the hell? That's a... Okay, so we're gonna have a puzzle section here. A bit of, So wait a minute. Oh, fuck this. I'm just gonna look this up. I'm streaming right now. I don't have time to do a... what do you call it? This guesswork type shit. Hang on a minute. Okay, so I got my phone here, so I want to do this correctly. So let's see what I got to do here exactly. Some kind of like a puzzle. So Remy, we'll look up Remy first meeting. Angels with scaly wings. And book sorting. Let's see if I can get something to come up from that. Organizing the books. Okay. It's on the Steam community page. Clearly, someone says, clearly I'm thick or just not seeing the order. When Remy asks you to sort the books, does anyone know the correct order? Someone replied, it's a logic puzzle, although to be honest, the first two clues confused me a bit, because I didn't quite get whether one was before or after the other. The wording feels a tad confusing. I ended up having to look up a guide to it somewhere. Okay, so someone else says later on down here, if you can give me the answer, that would be awesome, because this is what I have written down. The Inception, the First War, the Enlightenment, the Second War, the Invention, the Spark, the Third War. Was that even close? Okay, and someone says, pretty close, but a little off. So it's supposed to be, number 1 is the Inception, number 2 is the First War, 3 is the Tribe, 4 is the Second War, 5 is the Invention, 6 is the Spark, 7th is the Third War, and 8 is the Enlightenment. Alright, so let's try that. So number 1, the first book is the Inception. So we can hit show more books. The Inception. The second book is the First War. The third book is the Tribe. The fourth book is the Second War. The fifth book is the Invention. The sixth book is the Spark. If I wasn't streaming this, I'd try to figure it out on my own, but you know, since I'm streaming. The seventh book is the Third War. And finally, we have the Enlightenment. I think that's it. Oh, you're done? Let's take a look then. Seems you got it all right. Well done, Prince. You brought Remy's books into the correct order. I didn't know I could have this much fun in a library. That wasn't too hard. Or phew, that was hard work. Well, it certainly wasn't too hard when you have a smartphone. That wasn't too hard. In any case, there's a box here that belongs in storage. You can put that away. I'll finish the last bit of sorting, and then we will be done for the day. Sure thing. Great, see you in a bit then. Phew, that is heavier than I thought. I lifted the box and carried it towards its shelf, but just as I was about to reach it, I tripped suddenly, sending me to the ground as the contents of the box spilled across the floor. Ouch! I scrambled to gather the various items as the voice of the dragon called out to me. Is everything alright? Before I could answer, Remy came around the corner, his face bearing a look of disapproval. He stood over and helped me pick up the spilled objects. Yeah, I'm fine. I was mainly asking about the priceless artifacts you just dropped. Okay, wow, we can say a lot of different stuff here. Sorry. Oh, I guess my own safety isn't worth as much. You shouldn't have asked me for help if you were so worried about the condition of these things, or make fun of him for caring so much about books and scrolls. We'll just say sorry. Well, it doesn't look like anything is broken. That could have ended up much worse. What is all this stuff, anyway? In preparation for your arrival, I wanted to study what knowledge we had on humans. And what did you learn? Heh, not much. The human is a creature shrouded in mystery and legend, yet one we apparently share some history with. Sure, dragon. Tell me I'm the mythical creature. As the story goes, we dragons were once a primitive and savage civilization, living in caves and whatnot. We fought other creatures and amongst each other for resources and territory. One day, however, a human arrived who performed many miracles and gave us the gifts of electricity and reason. We referred to this event as our awakening. What happened to them, and who were they anyway? They say it was a divine creature, a supernatural being that saved our species by making peace between our clans and uniting us, as our numbers were dwindling from our pointless conflicts. And when the deed was done, they ascended to the heavens from where they came, or turned into a dragon and lived among us, ruling with kindness and wisdom until their eventual passing, depending on who you ask. What do you make of this story? As unlikely as it sounds, there is evidence for sudden, unprecedented technological advancement in our timeline. We have artifacts from that time that couldn't have been built with the knowledge we had back then. I'm starting to think you already have a theory. Indeed, I take it you are familiar with the way the portals through which you traveled here actually work? Well, I kinda am now. Actually, I am. It's simple, really. There are spontaneous wormholes that pop into existence now and then, but their highly unstable nature means that they instantly collapse in on themselves. The machinery of the portal merely stabilizes the wormholes so that we may utilize it. We actually are just taking advantage of a naturally occurring phenomenon. Fascinating stuff, that's pretty cool, or the longer you keep talking about this, the less I care. Fascinating stuff. Long story short, my theory is that this legendary person stumbled upon one of these natural wormholes in the split second it existed, bringing them into our world. Being thrust into an unfamiliar world with no means to return to your own. Talk about being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Or just the right one, if you ask me. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. Oh, what I would give to know more about them. How do you know so much about the portal anyway? We found it a while ago, so we've had time to study it. Not me personally, mind you, but I followed its development with great interest. What else have you discovered about it? Not much, I'm afraid. We didn't want to take the risk of permanent damage, so we won't do anything rash until we completely understand the technology and can replicate it for ourselves. So far, the only thing it has done for us was locating your portal and connecting us to it. From the interface, it appears to have more functions, but we haven't been able to get any of them to work. We were not even sure what it was capable of when we initially turned it on. Only after some time of being active did it actually find your portal, and only then were we able to make the connection. Making that discovery must have been very exciting, especially when you made contact with us and started exchanging letters with us. Oh, you have no idea, especially when Raza arrived and he turned out to be a human, of all things. Some people still worship them, you know. You've mentioned that before. How does that work? Do you have some kind of organized religion based around it? Not exactly. It is more like an aberration on a personal level. I'd count myself amongst them if it wasn't for the fact that I consider myself to have a more reasonable approach to it than others. For example, there are those that believe there is much more to your sudden appearance than there really is. I think they expect some sort of miracle from you, similar to what was ascribed to humans in the past. Well, I can tell you that there is nothing supernatural about me, those people are stupid, or maybe you should worship me. We'll go with, well, I can tell you that there is nothing supernatural about me. That's what I expected. Either way, as a scholar, I'm looking forward to see everything your PDAs have to offer. I could show you sometime. I see. Well, don't worry about explaining them to me. I'm sure you have much more important things to do while you are here. It is just a question of time until one of them ends up with me anyway. Actually, the PDAs are one of the reasons I volunteered to come here. What do you mean? I know them pretty well, enough to explain how they work at least. Of course, that's far from the only reason. I just thought I'd be the kind of person who'd meet all of the requirements, and it turned out I was. I see. It was nice of you to volunteer when you must have known there would be considerable risks coming here. You volunteered as well when you came to meet me, didn't you? I wouldn't think this kind of thing would fall under your jurisdiction regularly. That is true, but by this point my interest in these matters shouldn't surprise you. I was more surprised that I arrived under cover of darkness to meet an ambassador, though I haven't seen much of you since. Initially they wanted to have an official reception headed by myself, but in the end they changed their minds due to security concerns, as I told you back then. I suppose that's also why I'm being escorted by the police all the time. Yeah, that was supposed to be my job too, until someone from the police department objected and advocated for more security. Better be safe than sorry, I suppose. Let me guess, that someone was Maverick. How'd you know that? Just a hunch. At least I still got to meet you. Were you nervous when you did? Only the brave or the foolish wouldn't be. I consider myself neither. I have to admit, I was too. I was speechless when I saw you, and that wasn't just a side effect of the teleportation. I think you were pretty brave, or I think you were pretty foolish. I'm gonna say I have to admit I was too. To be fair, I would have been as well, if we didn't already know about humans in Raza. There was a moment of silence between us, and our eyes met briefly, when suddenly a loud call echoed through the building. Remy! I better go and see what this is about. Maybe it would be better if you didn't stay out in the open, at the end of the hallway. You can find my office towards the right. Wait for me there. Alright? So, this is your office, Remy? Looks more like a... Wow, he must sleep in his office then. There's literally... Looks like there's a bed in the lower left corner. So we can either wait, rummage through his trash, look at his notebook, drink his coffee. Wow, nosy much? You could read his notes and drink his coffee. Look in the mirror or look at his computer. That's all very snoopish. I'm just gonna wait. Let's wait for a bit. Nothing happened. Wow, well let's wait some more. Nothing happened. Okay. Let's wait even more. Alright, this is long enough. Your boredom has increased by 3 points. What? Wait for Remy until you get bored. You actually get an achievement for that. Patience. Okay. Let's look in the mirror. It's just a mirror, nothing special about it. Wow. It really wants me to snoop on his shit, doesn't it? Well, what has he written in his notebook? Heavy paper, perfect binding. I can tell by the cover alone that this is not the cheap stuff, but the result of quality bookmaking. Alright, let's take a peek inside. Looks like unsorted notes. His handwriting is terrible. A, M, E... Nope, can't make it out. Well, okay, what did he throw away? Let's see, what do we have here? What's this? Something's wrapped in paper. It's a partially eaten sandwich covered in mold. I'm not going to eat that. Wow. Okay, let's look at his computer. I wonder if their computers are similar to ours. Let's see. With the press of a button, the screen came to life, accompanied by the whir of the machine. After a few seconds, colorful images appeared on the screen. Look, it's Final Fantasy. Have you come here to beg for mercy? No, we've come to stop you. Your reign of terror over the land of Morma, however you pronounce that, is over. You're outnumbered. Just give up and we can end this without bloodshed. The area is teeming with my soldiers, outnumbering you thousands to 1, but I don't even need them. Who knows, if you survive long enough, you might just see why I'm called Alaya the Ascended. Oh, you prompterous beep! The hell is this shit? Calm down, Edith. Focus. I'm sorry it has to come to this, Alaya, but this ends now. Ronan, get them! Grrr! Battle start. Edith uses Whirlwind. Ronan takes 326 damage. Bonner uses Earthquake. Ronan takes 465 damage. Grrr. Ronan invokes Cosmic Horror. Oh no, it's the ultimate move. Bonner takes 1,089 damage. Rizard takes 1,205 damage. Fatal error. A problem has been detected and your computer must shut down now. Error code 1138. And I couldn't read the rest of it. Let me see what it said on the rest of it on the stream preview. Damn, the stream is awfully far behind, actually. Right now, it's just now hitting the earthquake and the battle on the stream preview. Oh well. What the? Hey, what are you doing? I think I broke it. I think I broke it. Alright, I think it's about to hit the fatal error. I want to see what the rest of it said. At least this is what you would be reading here if it wasn't just an ordinary message. Okay, it didn't really... That's a very weird fatal error screen. Anyway, I think I broke it. Oh no, let me take a look. Why do you even touch the computer? I got bored. We can either say I got bored, it's fine, it's just a computer, or I just wanted to see what was on it. I got bored. I mean, I've been waiting for you forever, man. Well, whatever you did, at least it seems to be okay. Yeah, did you try... Did you try turning it off and turning it back on again? Oh no, my game! What's wrong? When you touched the computer, you saw a game running, right? Yeah, I played a little. I had it saved specifically at that moment to play it later, and now it's all gone. What do you mean it's all gone? So much preparation, so many hours spent grinding just to get there. I can't do all of that again. You wouldn't understand. Actually, I do. I'm a gamer, man. I do understand. I feel you. You do? Yeah, we used to have similar games where I came from. I see. Well, at least my office is still standing. Speaking of which, what's with the bed? It looks like you live here. When I have to work late, it's just easier to stay here. Besides, I have the knowledge of the whole library at my fingertips and can use the resources and equipment as I please, like this computer. Don't you have one at home? No, we generally don't have this kind of technology in every household, though it's not exactly rare either. We just use it where we need it. Back home, we used to have computers everywhere. Most of us even carried one on our wrist wherever we went. Is that so? Oh, that means the library will be closing pretty soon. If you want to do or ask anything in particular, now is the time. I'd like to know more about your human miss. Are you available, or I really can't think of anything? I'd like to know more about the human miss. There's a lot we could get into, but I'm afraid we won't have enough time now. Maybe another day. Anyways, thank you for your help. If there is any way I can repay you, just let me know. Oh my god. How about you invite me to dinner sometime? How about a kiss? Or I can't really think of anything. Alright, let's see if he wants to have us over for dinner. That's fine with me. You've got my number, so call me about it when you have the time. Well, he seems awfully giddy about that. I will. Have a nice evening. You too. We parted amicably, or so I thought. Would I see him again? I wasn't sure, but I kept his number just in case. I told you, this is a weird game, man. It's a really weird game. But it's good, though. I like it, though. Another free day. Yay me. Alright, so who else do we want to meet up with? Meet with Anna, Lorem, Bryce. Show more options. Meet with Adine. Meet with Kevin. We haven't even met with Kevin yet, except for that one time. Let's go see what's up with him. That must be him. Hello. Good to see you again. This is where you live, huh? For the time being. That's pretty nice for a small town like this one. Are you not from around here? No, I'm just here for the job until the next semester starts. Basically, I'm trying to drum up interest for the college and see if there's anyone around who'd like to apply for it. How's that working out? Well, I haven't actually met that many candidates out here so far. For a town like this one, it's typical for the young people to go into an apprenticeship to prepare for the future job rather than go to college. But if there's anyone willing, we want to find them. Even out here? Yeah, there's always a need for more highly educated people in the cities as they expand. Cities? That's the first I hear of cities in this world. I thought this town was where it's at. Then you've really been missing out. This town isn't really all that special when it comes down to it. I've lived in the city for most of my life. Of course, that's also where the college is. I don't think they'd build one out here anyway. I think as ambassador they showed me around a bit, but apparently this isn't the case. Your visit is a bit of a political issue right now. The bottom line is that it's also for your own protection. Everything surrounding the portal has been a well-kept secret. People know that it exists and that we currently have human visitors, but the exact location is only known to those who live here. If it ever got out, I don't think this town could face the ensuing torrent of tourists trying to catch a glimpse of you. Travel has been restricted as well. There are strict conditions for people who want to come out here. The only reason I was allowed to is because this isn't the first time I'm doing this job. The people here already know me. Heck, I didn't even know this was the town in question until I arrived and heard everyone talking about you. Well, I'm glad they are taking this matter seriously. They certainly are. I'd like to know more about these cities you talked about, though. Well, I can only speak about the one I live in, but what do you want to know? I only really have this town as a point of reference, so why don't you tell me about what's different? Gee, that's only pretty much everything. Out here, living in general seems to be a lot cheaper than it is in the city, and there is much more room for everything. There are green spaces, fields, parks, and farms. You don't really see that in the city. People are more laid back, and there's a bigger sense of community as everybody knows everyone, which can be both good and bad. For example, rumors travel fast and survive well in areas like this one. In the city, you could just make new friends when that happens, but out here, a few well-placed stories could mean social death. In the city, it's also much more crowded. Buildings pretty much line the streets, and there isn't much room for anything else. But with the clubbing scene and opportunities for socializing, there's no shortage of potential friends. There are also many different jobs and education opportunities that you wouldn't find out here. Like what? Creative jobs of all kinds, for example, game designers, writers, artists, that kind of stuff. The same goes for teaching positions in those areas as well. For example, if I wanted to learn how to write a romance novel, I could find a course for that easily. Out here, this would be a lot more difficult. You know what I mean? Yes, absolutely. In a way, it feels like you're always busy when you live in the city. The streets are usually filled with people trying to get somewhere. Of course, this is also a side effect of the small apartments, as people tend to go out more often and seek entertainment elsewhere. Which do you prefer? In the end, I suppose I prefer the city. That's not to say that I think one is better than the other. Different strokes for different folks and all that. You know, out here, people would probably laugh at some of the things I do in my free time. But in the city, you get enough like-minded people to even get conventions going about all kinds of things. What conventions do you go to? I like all kinds of geeky things, cartoons, comics, and all that stuff. I've even written a few fanfics before too, since I can't really draw all that well. Aren't cartoons usually for kids? That's like saying books are usually just for kids. Cartoons are just a medium. Of course, there's some that are aimed at kids, but there are cartoons for adults as well. Cartoons for adults, I see. Not like that. Well, I mean, there are cartoons like that, but that wasn't what I was talking about. In any case, what else falls under geeky interests for you? Well, let's see. I guess you could say I'm kind of a techie. I do like following news about technology and hearing about all new developments in the industry. You must be pretty interested in the portal then. Oh right, I didn't even consider that I could actually go there and check it out. If I knew where it was, that is, I could show you. If you did that, you'd be like the coolest human I've ever met. I suppose you'd be that by default, since you're the only human I've ever met, but you get the idea. Let's just go. I'll be right behind you. There it is in all its glory. That looks so much cooler than I thought it would. Oh, state your business. I just wanted to show the portal to my friend here. Well, friend, you can look, but don't touch anything. And no photos either. Do I look like I have a camera? Well, you could be hiding something in your fur. Are you going to give me a pat down? I don't think so. What's that though? Flyers for our Midwest institution. I could give you one if you're interested in going back to school. No thank you. I am quite happy with my current job, which is protecting the portal from any unsavory individuals. What's up with you, Sebastian? Just doing my job, Prince. He could be a spy. Really? There's been a lot of interest in the portal from the cities. They have made us offers, but for now, we're not doing anything until we see how your visit turns out. In the end, it's just a political power struggle. Small towns like us have to protect our interests. And in the process, reinforce the stereotype of country bumpkins being conspiracy nuts. You know I could arrest you, right? Respect is a two-way street, just saying. That is good, but control is better. It's just a matter of perspective. Well, I think I've seen enough here anyway. Let's head back, Prince. Sure. You're not going to leak anything, are you? Of course not. Now that I think about it, I totally could, though. Oh, really? I have some connections and a potential audience. Now you're starting to sound like Sebastian had a point. Not really. I just know a few people from writing a column in our college magazine. It got popular enough that it was even featured in the local newspaper for a while. Interesting. What did you write about? Nothing special, really. It was just commentary about current events. I see. I guess you were pretty involved in your local community then. More than anyone else, I think. What's it like to actually live on campus? College in general is a pretty unique period of life, I'd say. Something I've noticed is that some people are not prepared for their independence they have when living on campus. You are given a chaotic schedule when you have nothing to do on some days, whereas on others you are kept busy with classes, homework, and other things that you have to do. With study buddies, roommates, and classmates, it's not really hard to make new friends. You also get to meet a lot of people who share similar interests from taking the same classes or being in the same clubs. And don't forget about the dorms, so all these people are always within reach, which can also be both good and bad. You can be tempted to hang out with friends when you should really be studying. For many people, it becomes the first taste of real freedom and independence. Some just handle it better than others, I suppose. That can be a problem with team projects, for example. There's always someone who ends up never showing up and not doing any part of the work. For me, it's not really a problem, since I actually enjoy what I'm doing here. I don't mind the homework, and sometimes I read up on subjects in advance so I don't get left behind. I've even corrected the professor once or twice during a lecture. I think that wouldn't be a good idea with certain kinds of professors. Well, with ours, I was even allowed the privilege of giving a guest lecture for my own class once. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I was talking about. Come on, learning should be fun. It certainly is for me. I suppose being able to have that kind of attitude makes it a lot easier. It certainly does. Let's see if it keeps up once you have a few more semesters under your non-existent belt. Don't be so negative, and just for your information, I do have a belt at home. Besides, it's not as if I'm some sort of anti-social hermit who only focuses on his studies. I just know when to say no to my friends. Oh, really? Yeah, we usually get together on the weekends and do some cooking together. People can only stand so much frozen food before they get sick of it, and eating out in the city can add up pretty quickly if you're not careful. I see. We rotate the cook every week, but apparently people are looking forward to when it's my turn. I've gotten a lot of compliments for my homemade mac and cheese. Now you're making me hungry. I bet they all miss it, but they'll get to taste it again once summer vacation is over in a month or so. And in the meantime, you're just out here handing out flyers? Yup, it's good to help our college. And I can also save up a bit in the process. It's certainly easier than trying to juggle a job and homework at the same time later on if things get tight. What were you studying again? Psychology. I see. Alright, go ahead and analyze me right now. It doesn't really work like that. I know, you just passed the test. Oh, I know what you're getting at. Maybe I'll steal that test from you, though. Might be worth trying it out on a few people I know. Be my guest. On a more serious note, tell me something about what you're learning. What, anything? I just want to get an idea of the subject and whether it's comparable to our own understanding of psychology. I see. Well, I could tell you about an old and very simplified model of our psyche that we got taught in introductory classes. Sounds good. Okay, so this model divides our psychic apparatus into three distinct parts called ID, ego, and superego. ID represents our most basic desires and instinctual drives, that is, our physical needs and wants, like hunger and thirst, as well as desires and impulses. What's the difference? An impulse is more like wanting to lash out in anger, for example. The ID seeks out immediate gratification for these urges. It is in conflict with the superego, which represents learned behavior like cultural and moral rules and societal standards, the kind of stuff we learn from our role models like parents, teachers, and guardians. The superego is the part that forms our conscience and controls our sense of right and wrong. It seeks to uphold these standards to perfection, which most of the time goes against what the ID wants at any given moment. You sound like you had to learn a lot of this. If those internationalized rules are broken, this misbehavior is punished by the superego with a feeling of guilt and shame. This way, we are compelled to behave in accordance to these rules, even if the ID tempts us to do otherwise. And in between these two conflicting parts of us, there is the ego who's trying to mediate. It represents our rational mind that seeks to please the ID's drives in a way that doesn't harm us, or goes against the superego's goals. However, it also serves another master, the external world. The ego includes all our decision making and how we respond to external stimuli. Ultimately, it is the one calling the shots while trying to balance the needs of the ID, the superego, and the external world. And there you have it, an outdated, simplified model of our psyche. It still serves as a good introduction, though. Thank you. Actually, I think I may have heard about something like this before. Why did you go with psychology in particular? I'm just interested in how people work, I suppose. It's also an incredibly diverse subject, and so are the potential jobs. Just being able to understand people is such a huge factor in many fields, and the skills you learn can come in handy in all areas of life, really. When people hear about psychology, most usually think of psychologists or psychotherapists, but they can also be counselors for communities and organizations, researchers, or teachers. You also often see them teaming up with other professionals to influence every part of society. Just think about hospitals, courtrooms, prisons, even schools and universities. They can also become coaches for high-performance jobs where they work with CEOs, athletes, and performers of all kinds. Every institution and every business that works with people can profit from the presence of someone who has studied psychology. That's why you'll also find this kind of knowledge to be incredibly helpful, even if you're a manager or in sales, because those jobs require empathy and an understanding of your client's needs. Understanding people is just something that can come in handy pretty much wherever you go, and that's what psychology is all about. Even in video games, psychology is a factor. Horror games are an obvious example, but also with tutorials or UI design and how people interact with your game, psychology and player expectations are always going to be a factor. I think I get the idea. Out here, I think a lot could still be done to improve the image of the field, you know? What do you mean? There's a bit of a stigma to admitting that you need help, especially when you're doing fine physically. For them, it's a sign of weakness, so in order to preserve their image, they hide everything away. But locking away those feelings doesn't solve the problem. If anything, it only makes it worse. Is that something you'd like to work with? Me? Honestly, I don't know if I could tackle a big issue like that. It's good for me that psychology is such a diverse field, because I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it yet, or what particular job I'd like to have after I'm done with my studies. I see. I think you still have plenty of time to figure that out. Yup, before I came here for my summer job, I was interning at a psychotherapist's office for a month. I got to hear about some very interesting and also tragic cases. I thought I wanted to help people with issues like that, but sometimes it's pretty hard not to be affected too much by those stories, so I'm not sure if that's the right job for me. But you already like working with people, right? I don't know, maybe interning there was a little too close to the sun for me. If you didn't, why would you be the one to hand out the flyers? Just like you mentioned earlier, psychology comes in handy with sales and similar jobs where you have to interact with people. Handing out flyers is pretty similar to that, don't you think? I guess. You seem to be doing well enough with that. You're helping to bring your college and people together, and in this way, you're helping both. And it's been a lot of fun, too. After all, I got to meet you, and even got a glimpse of the portal. Who knows, maybe one of those people you handed a flyer will one day turn out to be famous for their work. Now, I think that's a little too idealistic, but I get your point. It doesn't always have to be about big problems. Little problems need solving too. Like what you're eating on the weekend. Haha, yeah. What about you, though? What do you mean? Well, I don't want to pry, but we've been talking all this time and you know a lot more about me than I do about you. Maybe you can't say anything about where you grew up or what you studied because it's top secret or whatever, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. Well, I don't like talking about myself all that much, and I think there are some things that are better left unsaid. I see. But if you're curious, I guess it's only fair I share a few things as well. You know, it's been fun talking about college. I already got my degrees a while ago. It was interesting to go hunting for jobs with my unusual combination of degrees, but I thought that would open a few doors. But before I got anywhere, our world underwent a few changes that made a lot of jobs obsolete. It's been a rough time since then. Turns out those degrees came in handy after all, because in the end they enabled me to come here. If I consider all the good and bad that's happened here since my arrival, it's been a vacation compared to home, and it looks like the vacation might come to an end soon. I don't know what's going to happen after that. I can only hope my visit here will have started something that will mean change for our world, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I shouldn't be such a downer, though. Sorry for bringing it up, but maybe that explains why I don't like talking about it. What's your professional opinion on this? Well, in my professional opinion, as a flyer distributor, I'd recommend a generous application of hugs, but that's just me. You look like you could need them. I don't think that will be necessary, or go for it. We're going to go for it. He took a step forward, and I soon found myself being enveloped in a furry dragon's embrace. With him pulling me close, it felt like a giant furry blanket was all around me as the hairs tickled my exposed skin. After a few seconds, we parted and he took a step back again. I hope things can be better for you in the future. I don't think I can do anything to help you with that, though. I know, you prefer the little problems. It's getting dark. I should probably head out and look for a cave, or else I'll have to sleep in the streets. What are you talking about? Well, it seems like all the hostels are already full, despite the vetting process for visitors. Enough people got in to take all available short-term lodging spots in this town. Oh, really? Yup, despite only a few people knowing your location, or that of the portal, journalists and tourists are flocking to the towns, hoping to catch a glimpse, or at least find a clue of your whereabouts. That only leaves me with the option of finding or renting a cave for the night, or sleeping on the streets. Not that I'd mind sleeping in a cave, but for someone like me, it's usually something for an adventurous weekend rather than a way of life, and rocks don't exactly make for the best bedding. Well, you better get going then, or you can sleep here. Well, we have a couch here, you can sleep here. Really? Yeah, there's plenty of room here, and it's kind of my fault that you couldn't find another place anyway. I guess that means you don't share the officer's suspicions about me being a spy then. Not really. You know, I could totally take this room apart while you're sleeping. You're not helping your case there. Besides, you won't really find anything special here. Hey, I'd keep an eye on that copy of Draconic Desire you've got on the shelf there. I might be tempted to snatch it when you're not looking. Like I'd mind. If you need something for bedtime reading, feel free to help yourself. Oh, I will. He met with Kevin. Chapter 5, Conflict. Dark Lizard says, the best indie games are on Steam. Oh yeah, I know. Find damn near anything on Steam. After a night of turbulent dreams, my conscience returned to the shores of the waking world. Take a drink of water really quick. Today is the day of the big fireworks. Who shall I bring? There's no one to bring along, so I guess I'll go alone. While I was sure any of those I knew would agree to watch the fireworks with me if I asked, I ultimately decided to go alone, not wanting to impose on anyone if they hadn't asked me first. After making some preparations for the day, I set out to experience these fireworks I had heard so much about. When I left my apartment, I realized just how eerily deserted the rest of the place felt. They really weren't kidding when they said everyone would watch the fireworks. I imagine there was a couple of designated places people gathered for this purpose. I had no doubt they were crowded beyond belief. While I waited for the fireworks to start, I looked at the area around me. With no soul in sight, I realized I hadn't actually spent many nights outside. I was reminded of the day I had arrived here at my apartment in total darkness, with only Remy by my side. Soon, the total stillness was broken with the sound of the first rocket ascending, its explosion painting a circular pattern in the sky. More rockets followed, their quantity and frequency steadily increasing. As the explosions battered my ears, a terrible realization hit me. Considering how public an event this was, and how everyone would be watching the fireworks, now would be the best time for Raza to make his move. Not only was the village basically deserted, but the sounds of the fireworks would also overshadow any gunshots, giving him as much security as he would ever have. As the portal had been repaired by the administrator, Raza would have no trouble making his getaway, and I was the only one who knew. But didn't the administrator say that he was going to be the only one that could use it, though? I ran to my apartment and briefly considered calling the police as I grabbed a few things. However, I soon remembered that they were not only already understaffed, but that I might waste precious time if I tried to do so. Why would you call the police anyway, though? Because of a suspicion that you have that he might do something somewhere? Anyway, I arrived at the portal just a few minutes later. I couldn't help but be glad that it was still turned off and didn't appear to have been used recently, but it meant Raza was still here, somewhere. I looked around, thinking about where he could be, or if it was worth waiting for him here when I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Hesitating, I drew nearer. Oh shit, we got another one. I checked Sebastian and it's Sebastian too. Oh, shit. I checked Sebastian for any signs of life and found nothing. However, his body was still warm. No! The Canadian South Park character's dead. Raza was here very recently, but he hadn't used the portal just yet. Why? Sebastian's guard post was not just for the portal itself, but also the surrounding area. Since Raza was already here, he probably had some unfinished business very close by. The underground building. The administrator had told me all about the prowess of the generators within. It probably hadn't been hard for Raza to guess the same, or to try stealing them from a place he knew would be even more deserted than the rest of the village was right now. He also didn't have far to go from the portal. All things considered, it was the only option that made sense to me. I could have waited for Raza here, but in the end I decided it would be better to meet him underground. If there was going to be a confrontation, I was sure I would have the advantage in a more crowded space. Even in the darkness, it was easy for me to spot the site where they had unearthed the building's entry, as it was in a roped-off area that I had seen from afar before. When I entered the building, I was met by a long, illuminated hallway that was lined with doors on both sides. Since the lights were already on, Raza had to be very close. I wasn't surprised at the building still having electricity, since its generators were also powering the portal. Suddenly, one of the doors opened, and out came Raza, carrying a large cardboard box. When he spotted me, he set it on the ground. Prince, you're here. You don't know how glad I am to see you. I've wanted to talk with you for so long. I even tried to contact you, but I couldn't with someone tailing you the whole time. But talking can wait. Now that you're here, we've got everything. Come on, help me with this and let's get out of here. No. No? What are you talking about? I'm not doing anything until you answer a few questions. You want to talk now? Sure, why not? We've probably got a few hours if we wanted to. None of them will disturb us here. We could even get the backup generator as well after we send this one over. When did you realize we were in the past? How did you know about the comet? I've known for a while. It's what I wanted to talk with you about when we met at the portal. How about you? I only recently found out. Looking back, it just seems so obvious to me now. I'm not sure how exactly you figured it out, but there are so many damn clues when you think about it. I mean, how could a supposedly completely different, independent civilization speak the same language as us? What was this supposed to be? An alternate reality? No, it was just a different time. When was there ever anything resembling these creatures on Earth? It's not hard to make the jump from dragons to dinosaurs, when some of them here look pretty damn near identical to dinosaurs we knew about. And then there are also the prehistoric fruits, the plants, and the fact that their technological level is nearly exactly the same as our own past society. But we don't even have to think that abstract. You just needed to look at the sky. The sun, the moon, even the stars are the same. Constellations change over time, of course, but you know we could account for that stuff. You could have just pointed your PDA at the sky and it would have told you the time period, including the imminent threat of being eradicated. You could even see the meteorite in the sky and how it would change its position day after day. Are you done being condescending? I guess so. Dark Lizard says, holy shit, there is a human in this game. Yeah, there's two humans. These are the two humans. My character is a human and Raza's a human. You were there on the first stream, man. I don't know if you were there at the very start, but anyway. You killed those dragons, Raza. What a brilliant deduction, Sherlock. Why did you do it? So it really was him. Anyway. Do you really need me to spell it out? I thought better of you. After I found out the truth about this place, I knew just waiting for the generators we were owed was not an option anymore. It would have taken who knows how long, but I didn't intend to stay a day longer than necessary. You wouldn't believe how hard it was for me to acquire some generators. Some of the dragons didn't go down easily. But who cares that they got the generators that got back the generators I stole? With just this one, we won't need any of the others. How could you do this? How could I do this? Let me ask you this. What harm is there really in taking their generators when their whole civilization will be gone in a few weeks anyway? The ones I killed just died a little earlier than scheduled. Even if that creep hadn't shown up and interrupted our meeting, we wouldn't have had the time for them to make the generators for us. How about we don't let them all die? They aren't going to be extinct anytime soon, if that's what you're concerned about. I paid the hatchery another visit before I came here. With the right persuasion, I think we'll have plenty of reasons to keep at least some of them around. Bodyguards, border patrols, weapons, even as pets or companions, as long as we make the necessary changes. See, it's not as bad as you might think. I'm not going to just abandon them like that, only for their whole civilization to be wiped out. Get your priorities straight, Prince. Next time, you'd rather starve because you suddenly empathize with a steak, and you're not satisfied just starving by yourself. No, you're going to let us all starve, because you want to impose your morals on everyone. Since when do you think that you get to have any say in this? You know why you're here. What you're proposing is treason, and you know the consequences. Personally, I don't mind if you want to stay here. You know, I don't care about corporal punishment. Just let me through and you can do whatever you wish. I can't do that, Raza. Oh, I see how it is. They've told you that they need this generator to stop the comet, huh? And now you've become their lackey. Don't tell me you've been drinking up what they've been telling you. You know they have as much of a vested interest in this whole thing as humanity does, that I and you do, or at least used to. Do you think they wouldn't do the same thing if it was their families on the line instead of ours? Their entire world is on the line here. They live in perfect harmony with their perfect green energy source and no reason for wars or conflicts. Yada yada yada. We had that too. And you know what happened to them? Of course you do. This is such an idiotic trope, you know. Random person meets weird natives, learns their ways, and then ends up saving them. What do they need you for, huh? Maybe they're gonna be extinct for a reason if they can't even save themselves. You know of our suffering, yet we'll let them have it? I don't care what happens to them, but unlike you, I was at least trying to save humanity. At any cost. We have the solution right here. And you want to get philosophical now? Don't you think we deserve it? They've had it for who knows how long. Now it's time for us. Not like this. Do you think I like it? If there was a different way, I wouldn't have spent the last few weeks doing what you didn't. We don't live in this fairy tale world of yours where there is a perfect solution to everything. You should know that. Just being here for a few weeks must have messed you up. I think I know why. You got too used to all the comforts they have here. You actually don't care if they all die back home, do you? As long as you can stay here in this perfect little world of yours, you have discarded everything and everyone back home and replaced it with this. Maybe it is because you just don't have a life back home. I can even understand that a little, of course. It would be nice to just stay here where they have everything that we don't, but being here also reminded me of everything I hated about our world as it used to be. The pettiness and the politics. Say about the solar flare what you want, but it leveled the playing field and gave people like us a chance to make a difference. For all of our efforts, what did we get? A vote that was meaningless in a sea of stupidity and lies. Now everyone has to pull their own weight. We make the rules. You, of all people, should understand. Of course they wouldn't. They haven't experienced how it is to live like we do now, to see the world burn and everyone you know die around you. And because I have, I won't let the same thing happen to them. How many do you think died back home just in the 2 weeks you've been here because we don't have power for the hospital, huh? Do you think those victims aren't worth mentioning? Or do you just care about the few dragons I killed? Our city is the last bastion of a civilized society in a world where nothing else is left. Maybe you have forgotten about them, but I haven't. How many of us do you think will still be there in a month, a year? Or are they just a statistic to you? The same could be said for the dragons. What do you want to do? Talk me down from doing this? And then what? It's too late anyway. You think they're just going to let us go after what I've done? Fat chance. Whatever you may think, you'll find that our leaders back home agree with my course of action. Why are you telling me this? Because I expect you to join me. That's not going to happen. And you call yourself an ambassador. This generator is the only thing we need for our city to survive. How can you even argue about this? The dragons also need that generator, and I'll do what is necessary to stop you if I have to. So that makes you judge, jury, and executioner. What a wonderful set of morals you have there, Prince. We only need to wait until the comet has passed safely. You think you can stop the comet? And you need this generator to do that. Sure, and if your plan fails, then not only is this world gone, but we also lose any and all hopes to save our own. We are so close now. We can't risk anything by waiting for your crazy plan when back home they are dying by the minute. I will not let you. You only want to save your own two-faced hide because you don't want to face the consequences of what you did. Why are you laughing about this? Because it's a joke. It must be. I'm the one with the gun, and you thought you could just waltz in here and lecture me. Listening to you was fun and all, but the grown-ups must get back to work now. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't stop me now anyway. Actually, I can. I opened the cloak I was wearing to reveal an improvised bomb I had made from a generator. What is this? You showed me how to do it with that little trap you set at the farmhouse. That wasn't intended for you. It doesn't matter. You set it for someone. You set it to kill. Where'd you even get a generator? After the police reclaimed the generator you stole, it was easy for me to take one when I was alone in the department, just in case. I set the bomb on the ground between us. With it and me between Raza and the exit. He would have to listen now. So, what's the plan? I'll tell you what's going to happen. You leave the generator and turn yourself in. You know what? I think you're bluffing. If you set off that bomb, not only do we both die, but you destroyed the generators as well, and with them, any chance of saving either world, you would never do that. He pulled out his gun and pointed it at me as he slowly started closing the distance between us. What is it going to be, Prince? Killing all of us? Or just this world? Raza was right. In reality, the bomb provided no real leverage against him. If his goal was truly to save our city back home at any cost, he would not turn himself in. Even if the threat of setting off the bomb was a real one, his best chance would be to at least try to kill me now. I turned around and started running. No! I heard gunshots immediately. I felt the most excruciating pain I've ever experienced resonate through my arm. As I kept sprinting as fast as I could, I heard a beeping sound that made me realize I had inadvertently activated the bomb when I was hit. Out of bullets, Raza was not far behind me as we both scrambled towards the exit. Just as I reached the outside, the bomb went off. The explosion battered my ears as the shockwave sent me flying. I collided with the ground and immediately felt a hail of debris. I cowered, waiting for it to die down. After a few seconds, I turned around and looked at the sky where the fireworks still painted patterns in the sky. In the stars. With one hand, I reached toward my injured arm, only to find it wet with blood from my bullet wound. My whole body was numb. But I could not give up now. I slowly got up, looking around the area to get some perspective of the situation. Not far from where I was, I saw Raza lying on the ground. He wasn't moving. Oh shit. Rip. He got tore the fuck up. As I got closer, I spotted the gun next to him. I won't let them find this. I took it with me, hiding it in one of my pockets as I started making my way towards the portal with slow and uneasy steps. I was shaking and my vision was blurry. Every inch of movement felt like a new and harder chore than the last. Eventually, my legs gave in and I collapsed to the ground. I resigned to my fate as I watched the night sky illuminated by the colorful explosions of the fireworks. Suddenly, I was lifted off the ground, and as I opened my eyes, I saw the masked face of the administrator. I just could not let it happen. I had to stop him. I had to try. Somehow. The administrator started moving, carrying me. Unfortunately, it seems like the generators were destroyed as well. So this is how it ends, with humanity doomed to fade into history and the dragons facing extinction. All hope is not lost. It never was. What are you going to do? I'm going to send you back in time. We'll just try again, and maybe we'll do better next time. By now we had arrived at the portal. The administrator gently sat me down before moving towards the portal's controls. You will probably forget most of what happened. The teleportation tends to do that sometimes, especially when someone is transported several times in quick succession. Maybe you'll remember a thing or two, and maybe they'll help you do better next time. Maybe. I'll see you on the other side. I heard the sound of the portal starting to do its work as the numbness and pain suddenly left my body. Things I had experienced and things I hadn't flashed across my mind as I was teleported. I felt free. Oh shit, that's the end of the game. Shit, that wasn't a... Now, keep in mind, there are 13 different endings to this game, so clearly, I did not pick very good choices in this game. Maybe I need to, do another playthrough of this at some point, and do better, because that's, like, a bad ending, right? Like, that's gotta be one of the worst endings you can face. But that is it. That's the end of the game. Damn, that's a real cliffhanger of an ending there. Yeah, this game is designed with replayability in mind, so. But I'm glad I could say I at least finished it tonight. Huh. You know, fun fact too, next year is actually the year of the dragon. In the Chinese mythology. This year is the year of the rabbit, in case you were wondering. Damn. What a crazy fucking story, though, man. So it really was Raza that was the killer, though. He admitted to it. Makes me wonder why I ended up with the bad ending, though. You know, because like, damn, that's fucked. They're both sides are fucked. The dragons are fucked and the humans are fucked. Everybody's fucked. Basically saying, yeah, you got to do it over. You fucked up too much. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. This was really interesting, man. I had a great time playing this. Everything did get explained in the end, though, at least, right? You have seen... Okay, that's the neutral ending. You have seen the neutral ending. You experience just one of the many different endings of Angels with Scaly Wings. In order to see the story's conclusion, you will have to play through the game a number of times. During the next playthrough, you may want to make different choices. You may even find the information you've gained this time to be helpful. Sometimes you might even notice that prior choices have changed a character or aspect of the game's world permanently. At any rate, feel free to employ the game's skip buttons generously, as by default, they will only skip text that you have already seen, making subsequent playthroughs much more playable. Can you find all the different endings? You have seen your first ending. It begins. So that is interesting. It actually... So, future playthroughs will actually affect the game differently. That's very interesting. I didn't expect it to do that. You want to go back to Mafia? Yes, I'm going to be finishing that up soon as well. I don't know if it's going to... I don't think it's going to be tomorrow, because I'm actually working overtime tomorrow, so I'm probably going to be pretty exhausted when I get home. But I'm thinking maybe in a couple days from now. It's definitely going to be sometime this week. Sometime during the weekend at the very least. I will be continuing with Mafia 2, and hopefully I'll be able to finish that up in my next stream. But yeah, this is a really good game. Like I said, definitely check it out. Really good indie game. Definitely very weird. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. It's very strange. But it's also very unique, very interesting. So I'm glad I checked it out. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to head to bed now. And you guys have a great night.